gorgeous soul friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Hannah. Welcome to my channel, and it's such an honor to be a part of your wondrous earth experience today. So we're going to talk about simulation theory and why this label is not necessarily incorrect, but limiting in its attempt to encapsulate the whole of the cosmos as we know it. It's apparent that there is some sort of holographic illusion composed of refracted light from our star. It's often called Maya, and Maya directly translates to illusion. So our nervous system operates as a medium for this holographic illusion to translate into the full sensory experience that we have on the day-to-day. So your entire life experience is a hallucination, and reality doesn't render until your five senses are perceiving it. We can observe that certain video game phenomena reflect qualities of our experience, and I think because of that, a lot of people condense their understanding of the universe down to something similar. But the term simulation gives a cold and lifeless impression of our universe when it's anything but. The universe is life itself. It is the energy of life, the force of life. Even though we've created things like computers and simulations that mirror properties and qualities of our universal makeup, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the other way around, that our universe is somehow a computer. I mean, technically nature is the original computer, but the only thing that reality is simulating is your imagination. The 3D world is simply the shadow cast by your imagination. And I talk about this in my many manifestation videos. The universe is a living organism. It's no more machine than you or I. So it's a living, breathing, spiritual technology. As above, so below. We are all the cells of a macroscopic organism, a system of organisms that exist within each other. So just like we have cells and bacteria and certain microorganisms that exist within us, and they work around the clock to keep us healthy, to keep us alive, we are a macroscopic reflection of that, and there is something that is bigger than us that is a macroscopic reflection of that, and so on and so forth, infinitely. So every single particle that makes up matter is alive and conscious. Matter itself has awareness. And if you want to learn more about that, you can look up the double slit experiment. This is a really common example, I think, that a lot of us use when describing this phenomena. But matter has awareness, and it's aware of when it's being observed. It's aware of when it's not being observed. And it can reformat itself depending upon whether or not it's being observed. So this is a malleable world that is giving the illusion of immutability and permanence. So everything looks solid and feels solid according to our nervous system, but it is merely a system of electric impulses that's translating into sensory experience. Humanity has been trying to ascribe labels to our understanding of the universe for centuries. Humans invent the wheel, and suddenly the universe is a wheel. Humans invent the book, and suddenly life is just a story being told on the pages of a divine storybook. Humans invent clocks, and suddenly the world is mechanistic with cosmic gears that make up our universe. Humans invent the computer, and I think you know what's next. So the thing is, all of these descriptions are correct in their own way, and it's not necessarily wrong to say that the universe reflects qualities of these creations. But on their own, these creations are a limited way of describing the vastness of our world. I mean, technically all terminology used to express the infinite complexity of our universe is flawed. Humans are essentially just putting sounds together and creating words from those sounds that are used to describe experiences that ultimately cannot be confined to words or labels. We're trying to describe what is indescribable. The vastness of this realm and the realms that lie beyond our five senses are indescribable in a lot of ways. And I think all of the religions, philosophies, and sciences are simply languages that humanity has contrived to attempt to understand the infinite. I think the term simulation is so popular because things like VR and video games have granted us new understanding of the world around us. It's given us a new perspective of our own existence. It's clear that nature operates with mathematical precision on some sort of binary code. And even our DNA, in its own way, is code for our avatar. And this is because nature is the original technology. It's ancient technology that is infused with life force or spirit. And there are a lot of people who kind of theorize and attribute the qualities of AI to be interwoven with nature. But artificial intelligence isn't even really intelligence. It's simply using the tools that we currently have available to attempt to replicate what we think we know about intelligence. So all technology is merely a replication of processes present in nature. And I have a whole series talking about this and kind of making comparisons. I'll go ahead and link the playlist down in the description box below. So moving on, let's talk about 3 categories of people that exist in this 3D matrix plane. We have awakened ones, NPCs, and agent smiths. So awakened ones are people like you and I who have heeded the call from beyond and are consciously pursuing a path towards our greater goodness, towards unity, towards freedom, and are actively retrieving bits of our soul. NPCs, or non-player characters, that's what it stands for, are unawakened souls who exist in a perpetual state of spiritual dormancy. So these people are highly prone to spiritual hijacking. Their nervous system can literally be taken over, and they can operate from a place of their lower impulses because they are not regulated. They're not regulating their nervous system. They're not on a soul retrieval path. These people are sometimes referred to as being soulless. And I'm just going to be completely honest. I've never resonated with that term. I think it is incredibly egoic to assume that a person is soulless because they don't share your worldview, or because they've been duped by a system that works intricately night and day to keep us all, even those of us on an awakening path, in a state of spiritual dormancy. All life on earth is ensouled, even if that soul is extremely fragmented. So people can lose parts of themselves to other people's expectations of them, or to traumatic life experiences, or to obsessions or whatever. But those pieces of soul can be retrieved. And that's essentially what the awakening path is. So those of us that are on this path are simply finding fullness within ourselves. The next category of energies, I don't even want to say people, because when I use this term, and I guess I want to disclaim this before I even get into this explanation, when I refer to agent smiths, I am using it as a blanket term to describe a consciousness. It's not necessarily a person or group of people. It's a consciousness that is woven within the holographic construct of our reality. So anybody who is dysregulated, who is not actively pursuing a path of creation, can be hijacked by this agent smith essence. It is ultimately the system that aims to test your will and sovereignty. The agent smith essence can sometimes deceive or distract as a way to drive you off your spiritual path. It can hijack the nervous system of NPCs and use their vessel to observe you or to instill fear or insecurity within you, keeping you in a personal prison of your own stasis. So this is kind of the case with things like gang stalking. You know, a lot of people on the spiritual path talk about being gang stalked. It was something that I experienced many years ago at one point in my life. I think this is also what the Truman Show is referring to when Jim Carrey wakes up and starts to realize what's going on. And the actors in his life experience are trying to convince him that everything's fine and he should just kind of ignore what's going on. So Again, I use Agent Smith as a label. It's really an archetype to represent an essence, because this isn't an entity, a person, or a group. Okay, this is a formless sentience that is woven within the holographic construct of our reality. And for some, it appears in the form of Men in Black type government agents. For others, it's a demonic or interdimensional presence. And for some, it's the narcissistic person in your life. A lot of people refer to this sentience as an archon or ancient AI. And I don't think it really matters what people call it, as long as we understand that it is simply a test calling for you to rise into your highest version. It's calling for you to assume your power as the god of your experience. Okay, and I know that's going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people to hear, but that's because there has been so much programming trying to convince you otherwise. So we all exist in our own micro multiverses. So as I mentioned earlier, we are the god of our subjective experience. We are living in a series of multiverses, and we are ultimately our own universe. Each and every one of us is a universe in and of itself. And these multiverses can interact and coalesce with one another. We come into each other's worlds to share information, learn lessons, trigger each other, or simply enjoy each other's company. And all of these micro multiverses come together to create what is the collective timeline. So the collective timeline is influenced by the thoughts, beliefs, and actions of everyone in their own micro multiverses. So we are all collectively influencing the human story with all of the decisions that we're making on our day-to-day. And some of those decisions you may not even be aware of a lot of the times. Within the collective timeline and within the collective consciousness of humanity, there is negative programming through mass media, political agendas, religious propaganda, ideas of disempowerment that infect every single one of us in some way. And the awakening path allows for us to take back our personal power and to adopt new programs of belief that ultimately allow you to create fulfillment in your life. So as I mentioned earlier, our timelines can interact and coalesce, but not only are they interacting and coalescing with one another, but they're also intersecting within our own microcosm. And this causes what we experience as things like synchronicity and deja vu and manifestation. All of that has to do with the many different timelines that we can walk depending upon our thoughts, beliefs, actions, and perceptions. So some people feel called to leave a deeper impression upon the collective timeline of humanity. And that's why we see these many ascended masters that come down and leave a pretty deep footprint on the earth with their message. Some feel this call more than others, but no one individual micro timeline is more important than another. Because ultimately we are all threads in the grand tapestry that is the human story. So the world is just a stage, and we are the actors, producers, directors of the play that is our lives. So whenever you are designing your life, you're setting goals, you're visualizing, you're affirming, you are directing the unfolding of your life play. And whenever you go and act out those visions, or you work towards your goals with action, that is the actor that is living the play. So if you do not exercise will over your own timeline through altering your assumptions of yourself and your life, through developing radical self-assurance, through taking fearless action towards your goals, dreams, and desires, then you will be thrashed around according to the will of those around you and the will of the collective. You will be a slave to other people's desires and assumptions of you. At the end of the day, no one can fully fathom the nature of our universe. We can all research the conclusions of those that came before us through drawing parallels between religion, science, and history. We can review the findings of our fellow truth seekers and come to our own understanding of those findings. But at this point in our evolution, I don't believe we're really meant to know indefinitely the nature of our universe. And I personally am very weary of thought leaders and content creators who claim that they know for fact. A lot of teachers seem to forget that we are meant to collaborate with one another to come to greater understanding, not view our own lens of truth as absolute. There are many who, through their own personal dogma, have lost sight of their place and have seemingly forgotten the idea that we are all walking each other home. In the wise words of Ram Dass, our purpose in the 3D hologram is to simply be. We're human beings, after all. We are sojourners passing through to observe and experience. You decide what your own personal purposes are aligned to and follow those pathways with fearless integrity. We are here to love one another and to experience the grand spectrum of our colorful emotions. We are here to create our life path, and it's our divine birthright to do so. But that is the conclusion of this video. I hope that you found wisdom within this video and maybe it opened up your mind a little bit to the possibilities of what could be. Feel free to leave a comment down below and share your perspective on the matter. Check out the Big Book of Affirmations if you haven't already. This book is all about reframing your subconscious to help your 3D matrix reality align to your goals, dreams, and desires. Feel free to check out my other content on my channel, Madame Devoe. But I will see you guys later. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.